One of the hardest things about being a beginner in chess and trying to get better is learning what to do in the middle game. And so I've been reading this book, Improve Your Chess Pattern Recognition, which helps you identify king moves and motifs in the middle game to help you become a better middle game player. In this video, we're going to be going over the lost bishop, which is taking the rook pawn with your bishop and having it trapped. Usually that means it's the end of your bishop and the life is over, but you'll see in these games that there are some instances in which you are able to save that bishop and actually get an advantage in the middle game. So let's just jump into it. So we have a game here between two international masters. White is up a pawn here and black is figuring how to equalize in this position. This bishop is looking at this pawn. And when you do take these rook pawns with your bishop, you have an issue that you're going to get usually trapped here. It's a very famous position between Spassky and Fischer, in which Fischer lost because of that. And so if you're making this decision, you have to really think concretely about the calculations that you need to make sure that this bishop is not completely lost. And so in this position, black goes ahead and he calculates and he figures that this is a good opportunity to take this pawn and equalize the game. So he takes over here on a2, white comes over here, queen to h5, and the bishop comes over here to f8 to provide ample defense for the king. After this bishop is now considered a lost bishop because it is behind these two pawns and it's gonna be trouble getting it out. Black decides to push to h6 to prevent the knight to g5 here and the checkmate. The rook comes over here to defend the rook taking of this pawn here. Rook comes over to e6, and now the rook is coming to attack this bishop. And so black finishes his idea with rook to a6, and now white has no direct way of winning this bishop. He can take here, and take here, and black is winning. And so now white has to move more resources over here to the queen side, and he does that by pushing h3, rook c to c6. The queen comes over here, looking for the take here, but it's not going to happen with these two rooks on this file. Rook to a5, and he's now looking to double up here. So the knight's coming back, the bishop's coming over here, and now we have the checkmate threat here. And we just have the rook takes here on e5, which seems like a material balance, but after the rook takes, and now this bishop is definitely going to be coming back to life. So white continues its onslaught of an attack. The queen comes over here to defend. White takes another pawn. And now you get a nice fork of the queen and the rook here. After the king check, the king moves to safety, the queens trade off. The bishop's now looking at this rook, and we have essentially a drawn position. It says here in the engine that white is a little bit better, but because of this lost bishop idea, you're basically taking resources that your opponent would use on an attack and diverting it into the other side of the board where you might have better chances. So that was an example of attacking on the queen side away from the king. Let's look at an example of the lost bishop now when attacking the king side. And in this position we have here, black has just taken this pawn over here on e5, and white now has the decision on whether to take here or to take with the h7 check first. And so what white decides to do is, after thoughtful calculation, is to actually take over here on h7, which is essentially losing for white. But after king to h8 here, the knight comes over here to d4, stopping this queen here, and then we get the lost bishop position. Now you don't have the option of really take, and take because of this knight here. And so white pushes up here to h5, trying to remove this pawn. And the king takes the bishop here with the check here on the king, discover check with the double check on the pawn. The king just pushes back, and that spells trouble for black because after the pawn pushes here, you're looking at this nice attack here, you're looking at mate. Things are not looking good for black. Black takes with the knight, the only move that saves him. White takes back, and then you still have the checkmate threat here. The queen comes over here, checking the king. The knight stops back, and the queen takes here. And so basically in this position now, black's kingside protection is all destroyed. And so what you have here is white now has the advantage because of that lost bishop tactic, and black didn't play correctly, and now he's up in a position because he sacrifices bishop to shred open the queen side. And so that's a very short introduction to the lost bishop. Usually, as a rule of thumb, you do not want to take that pawn because you are going to lose that bishop just by sheer force. But sometimes, if you have enough time to think of the calculation, maybe it might not be the worst thing for you to take. So if you like that video, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Our next middle game theory video will be the twin guns, which is two bishops pointed at the king side. That video will be here, and we'll see you next time.